Number one question I get in DMs most often is asking about prolapse, and typically this is where the kicker is. Trash day apparently. Moms that say, I was feeling great, I went to my OB or my pelvic floor PT and they told me I have prolapse, and then they start looking and then they start having feelings and sensations and all sorts of things like that. And it's scary, and it's scary because the first thing you're going to do is Google prolapse, right? Don't Google prolapse. Okay. Basically what prolapse is, you can have organs that start to descend or move into the vaginal canal. Sometimes they exit outside the body, worst case scenario. But here's the fun fact. There was a paper, forgive me, I can find it for those of you that want it, looking at nulliparous, meaning women who had not yet been pregnant. And it's pretty common to have a grade 1 or even a grade 2 prolapse before even having kids. So the question then becomes, okay, if this is our scaling system that says that women have this thing, right? And a lot of women have it and they haven't even had babies yet. Maybe the problem is how we measure it. Okay. So lots of times you have providers that are measuring, and that's great and that's fine. But the other thing with prolapse is, is that we need to have some sort of correlation in symptoms too. And again, you never would have asked. And this is where I see things get so problematic, is especially those moms that didn't have symptoms. And then somebody says the word prolapse, and then all of a sudden they're aware of stuff. And I'm not saying it's in their head at all, like not even remotely close. Like you feel what you feel. But I think our sensitivity increases. The sensitivity increases. And I also think we do see, and I talked to Linda McLean, a researcher, about this. I was like, is it truly, is it high tone that makes us aware of this? A little bit more, or what is it? And she's like, I don't think it's high tone, but like there's definitely more of an awareness of what's going on. And that's the other thing that's confusing, is even if you have a graded prolapse where it's, in a different position, you may not necessarily have symptoms. I've had plenty, and I've talked about this a lot, I've had plenty of clients that the only reason they came to know that they had prolapse is because they had to stuff something back in, not because they actually were bothered by it or couldn't do things. And then you have women that sorry, it's like a bajillion degrees out here. I'm walking on the flat and I'm like, and then you have women that you barely have any anatomical prolapse, but yet you have all these symptoms and the awareness. And back when I first was doing pelvic floor PT like 25 years ago, like we didn't know how to tease those things out. We didn't realize that we assumed that anatomical equated to symptoms and symptoms equated to anatomical. But if you've been doing this long enough, you realize that they're two separate things. So we've got to figure it out, So more of the story is, if you were that person that you're all fine and good and somebody says prolapse and you start Googling and now all of a sudden you're aware, like you're not crazy, you're totally 100% not. But we definitely need to look at how we can address kind of down training that awareness or hypersensitivity or whatever it is that's causing you to be aware of those inputs to your brain and those sensations. Those of you that, you have a 1 or a 2, but you don't notice anything, don't worry about it. Like seriously, don't freaking worry about it. So, hey, so it's one of those things that there's some nuances in it, and that's okay. It's not a one size fits all sort of thing. So I would love to know that, if you did, go to a GYN's office or pelvic floor PT's office and they said, hey, you know what, you got prolapse. Did you sense that? Or were you like, really? I really have no awareness of it. Like, I'm really curious as to what kind of the correlation is, because I think that's a piece that we still haven't figured out yet, is how many people have anatomical prolapse that translates to symptoms and how many people don't. and how many people have symptoms and no anatomical prolapse. So there's a lot to tease out. So just a quick little informal survey, see if we can get a little bit more information. And those of you that are brand spanking new, I see a few on there, hello, and congrats. Don't freak out. If you're having heaviness or pressure, shoot me a DM. Happy to help you find a PT near you. If you're not having heaviness or pressure, don't look for it. Oh, awesome. Rachel from London, she said they spoke about it a lot. Anatomical change does not equal symptoms. Yes. And you know what's so crazy? This is a new conversation. This is only the last, like I started to put this together maybe 2020. Maybe a little bit before that. Like this is a really new conversation, which again is such a fun part of, I think, being in pelvic floor PT, because, you know, we're treating prolapse incredibly different now than we did even just a couple of years ago. So yeah, share your prolapse stories, what people told you, what you felt, all that fun stuff. Just a little informal survey. I'd love to hear from you.